With both sides reacting to each other with provocations and rhetorical bluster, foreign policy experts are concerned the situation is one miscalculation from spinning out of control. I take the Trump administration at its word that the economic pressure on Iran is a means to the end of renegotiating a better and more comprehensive deal. That hasn't worked yet, however, and in response, the U.S. keeps doubling down and ratcheting up the pressure, said Michael Singh, managing director of the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, and formerly the senior director for Middle East Affairs on the National Security Council. Given that pressure campaign, it's really hard for me to see the United States and Iran reaching some grand bargain. It's easier to imagine this pressure campaign leading to a prolonged state of tension, and an escalation dynamic that can be very difficult to control diplomatically or militarily. Iranian actions and operations are at the heart of nearly every problem in the Middle East, said Hook. They support Palestinian terrorist groups responsible for the recent barrage of missiles targeting Israel. They fuel the humanitarian catastrophe in Yemen by backing the Houthi rebels. In Syria, Iran has supported the Bashar al-Assad war machine that has killed hundreds of thousands of people. Under cover of that war, the Revolutionary Guards are trying to establish a new strategic base in Syria to threaten neighbors like Israel. In Lebanon, Iran-supported Hezbollah is using murder and terror to intimidate other Lebanese parties. And until we address all of Iran's destabilizing actions, we should expect more of the same. So we have to make Iran's revolutionary foreign policy prohibitively expensive. U.S. officials also estimate that between 2003 and 2011 the Iranian Revolutionary Guards and the associated Quds Force were responsible for the deaths of some 600 U.S. troops in Iraq. The fingerprints of Iran and Hezbollah were also on the terrorist bombing of the U.S. Air Force Khobar Towers housing complex in Saudi Arabia in 1996 that killed 19 service members, and on the 1983 bombing of the U.S. Marine barracks in Lebanon that killed 241 Marines and 58 French military personnel. The Revolutionary Guards have the blood of more American service members on their hands than almost any other terrorist organization, so it's hard to fault the Trump administration for acknowledging the obvious and designating them terrorists, said Michael O'Hanlon, a defense expert and senior fellow at the Brookings Institution. While withdrawing from a flawed Iran nuclear deal to try and renegotiate a better one was a defensible policy, he said, the more recent maximum pressure campaign takes the confrontation to a whole new level. Trying to reduce Iran's oil exports to zero is a very dramatic policy, and it's fraught with risks, said O'Hanlon. Iran could respond with terror attacks on U.S. personnel in the region, which they've done in the past, or by walking away from the nuclear deal altogether. We are forcing them to make some really tough decisions, and I'm not sure the Iranians themselves have figured out what they are going to do. The administration's pressure campaign is also forcing close allies to make tough decisions and take sides in a confrontation they tried hard to avert. Britain, France, and Germany all strongly opposed Trump's decision to withdraw from the Iranian nuclear accord last year, and they have tried to keep the deal alive by establishing a bartering system to help European companies doing business with Iran evade U.S. sanctions. The Trump administration's maximum pressure campaign has stymied those efforts, leaving bruised feelings across the Atlantic. James Kitfield is a senior fellow at the Center for the Study of the Presidency and Congress.